Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. We're gonna do something different this time. We're gonna go straight into the discussion, and live via Skype now. I've got Brandon and Josh,
Hello.
and we'll discuss some of the smaller angles that we've got going on Raw and SmackDown. I think if we mash all of the mid-card and generic feuds that aren't in the top 5 I've got written down, you've pretty much only got one match that appeared on Raw and SmackDown, and that would have to be the Fandango Miz match.
Very interesting analyzation there.
Yeah. Um, well, you've got your big ones going on and stuff, and then normally you've always got your random matches just strewn about the shows that sort of make minimal sense, but they seem to have organized most of their shows lately.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Even though Fandango broke his nose, I don't know if you can class it as a feud, whether that ongoing hatred is going to continue.
Yeah.
I think we'll get another match. Honestly, I don't know where they're going with these two. I was interested at first, and then they gave me the match for free.
Yeah.
Fair enough. One of the angles that should probably be further up on the list, but kind of can't be due to exposure, is the World Heavyweight title picture.
Yeah.
It's not getting very much TV time for their second best title.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm not that interested in the match. I think it'll be an alright match. I'm just not that interested in it. I'm hoping Damien Sandow walks out with the world championship, though. That would be something nice for me as a fan.
Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth.
But who would Sandow cash in on?
Cody Rhodes.
RVD.
So we've seen on Raw the RVD Damien Sandow match.
I don't think it's gonna mean much in the end. I think it was just a match just to get the two on TV. I could see Sandow cashing in. I don't see it being too soon because I don't really see it being too close together like it was with Randy Orton already cashed in at SummerSlam. So I don't think it really makes much sense to put the two cash-ins so close together because Randy Orton's cash-in would obviously overshadow Sandow's cash-in.
Why would that matter, though? I mean, the WWE Championship is supposed to overshadow the World Heavyweight Championship.
I know, but I just feel that the cash-ins would be too close together, if you know what I mean. And I just feel like Sandow needs just to hold on to the briefcase a little bit longer, maybe until around WrestleMania time, like the Dolph Ziggler did. I just think he needs a little bit more momentum and build-up, because Damien Sandow right now, he doesn't really have Dolph Ziggler hype to him. So I think if he cashed in right now, it really would take a lot away from his cash-in if he were to cash in at a later date.
Okay, we also saw over on SmackDown, RVD took on the corporate champion.
Yeah.
Pretty decent match from the two.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was very, very good. And I really hope these two collide again in the future.
Okay, we'll jump to the next angle. It's sort of the tag team resurgence.
Yeah, I really, really think the tag team division has surging a lot as of late. And I think it can only go up from here.
Fair enough. There's quite a few great tag teams they've already got in the division. And then they're bringing in, well, repackaging the Los Matadors, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, I think that these two, I think they have potential to be a good gimmick and pull it off. I think it's going to be a little bit hard to get the fans behind them. I think that they will eventually get them to be behind them. And I seriously think that these two could be a big threat in the tag team division. And I think I'm really not sure where they're going to go with this tag team, but I really think that the fans, they could really enjoy this gimmick, or they can really hate it like they did with Lord Tensai. So it has the potential to be a big flop or a big hit.
Prediction: the primetime players will win the tag team championships at Night of Champions.
I agree and disagree at the same time. I think that they could very well win at Night of Champions, but I could very well think that they could win it at a later date if WWE management wants the feud to continue between the two.
Fair enough. But the titles definitely have to be defended, so I think there's just so many teams, you'd have to have some sort of match. We've been seeing the randomly strewn about matches, like the Primetime Players taking on 3MB on Raw, then the Usos taking on the Real Americans on SmackDown.
Yeah, I think the tag team division has gotten a lot of airtime as of late, and I think that's very good. Rather than having mainly one tag team featured that was going on with Team Hell No. And I think the division's doing a lot better right now with more exposure for more tag teams.
Okay, well, talking about tag teams, it's probably a good time to go to our classic entrance theme of the week. It's the Bushwhackers theme. You're back with Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady, Brandon, and Josh. We'll jump into what I thought is the number 3 feud coming out of these things. It's the Total Divas versus Normal Divas.
I think you have this one a little bit too high, but this has been somewhat of a highly anticipated feud for me, because I think it's very unpredictable where they will go with this.
I specifically ranked these feuds on airtime for this week.
I really think AJ Lee will end up coming out on top because she's been on top of the Divas division for a very long time, and I don't see she just losing it in an instant.
I see Naomi becoming the new Divas champion.
I think it's a little bit of
I
a bold. I think it's a little bit.
I know that's kind of shocking with the fact that Natalia's in the match as well, but I think that they'll give the title to Naomi. They're definitely going to give it to somebody that's on the Total Divas cast, because that will be their season 2 premiere. Will be one of them winning the championship.
I really hope AJ retains. I think it'd be a better idea for AJ to be featured on the show herself as the Divas champion. But I don't really know where they're going to go with this. Maybe they're trying to swerve us by saying, oh, AJ's supposed to drop the title. I don't know, because this is quite an interesting feud.
Yeah, or long shot, Paige debuts and wins the title. Oh, look, there we go.
To be honest, I could very well see that happening.
I would like to see it happen.
Yeah, I could very well see her steal the win from somebody.
I don't want to see Paige debut just to debut.
Well, they're gonna have to call her up sooner or later.
I wanted to have a purpose, a true purpose.
To be honest,
being the
I would have.
Champion is the purpose, though.
I could have seen her. See how AJ is sort of rallying the troops to go against all of the Total Divas. I think that's something that I think Paige could have done as the sort of anti-diva.
I think we could very well see Paige be brought up in the midst of this feud. I don't know where they're gonna go with this. I think it's like the best thing in the Divas division since the Eve Torres and Caitlyn feud. So I'm very, very excited to see this match at Night of Champions.
I had wanted Paige to be Sister Abigail for the Wyatt family. Then I found out Sister Abigail's dead.
Yeah, and Bray Wyatt isn't British, though.
Details.
Okay. Yeah, the Divas got a fair amount of airtime. They did have their number one contenders triple threat, which was a fairly decent match until it ended.
Yeah, this is the decent Divas match. I thought it could have been a little bit better, but another way to set up the match at Night of Champions.
And then straight over on SmackDown, you had a follow-up where AJ rallied the non-Total Divas.
Yeah, I really like that because it's reminding me of kind of like the WCW versus WWE feud, except this is with the Divas, and I think this could be a really big turning point in the Divas division because they got their own TV show now, and they're starting to gain a lot of popularity because we used to never see Divas get like their own T-shirts and merchandise, and we have two Divas already having merchandise in AJ Lee and Caitlyn.
Where's Caitlyn? She kind of just vanished.
Yeah, she's somewhere out there.
She falls into the non-Total Divas group, but she can't be with AJ, so she's floating out in the middle of space.
I think they could find something for Caitlyn in the future. I've always thought that she and Dolph Ziggler would make a good couple, but WWE obviously didn't feel that way.
Okay, we'll jump to the current entrance theme of the week. It's the Usos, So Close Now. You're back, Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. That was the Usos entrance theme. Small fact, actually written and produced by a New Zealander there. But you're back, Grady, Hooker, Brandon, and Josh. We'll start off on what I wrote down as the number 2 feud, the CM Punk versus Paul Heyman feud.
I'm not too sure about this feud. I think we're seeing a little bit too much of the same thing. We're seeing either CM Punk get beat up one week, or we're seeing Curtis Axel get beat up one week. I think it's a little bit too much of the old and not enough of the new.
We didn't exactly see too much of it this week on Raw. We saw a few promos on Raw, and then on SmackDown we saw Kofi Kingston take on Curtis Axel.
I think that Kofi Kingston could end up taking the title from Curtis Axel, because as of right now, Curtis Axel is already in a match with CM Punk. So let's see if WWE management tries to get Kofi Kingston the title on him. So I don't know where they're going to go with Curtis Axel, but what I know is CM Punk is probably going to end up on top at Night of Champions.
I'm actually thinking that at the Night of Champions match, CM Punk wins by disqualification, and it gets beat up.
That could happen.
They will debut a new Heyman guy, and I'm thinking somebody who's already on the roster.
True.
Somebody big and strong.
Drew.
And black.
Damn.
Mark Henry.
No, younger.
Alicia Fox.
Big E.
Big E Langston.
I was close.
Yes, you were very close.
How can you be close? You weren't even in the right ballpark with the gender.
Yeah, it would definitely be interesting to see another Heyman guy, since he's really only got Axel to focus on now till about WrestleMania when Lesnar will come back.
Yeah, I'd like to see a new Paul Heyman guy. I don't know if we'll see it at Night of Champions, but I have a feeling we'll probably see it very soon.
We almost have to see it at Night of Champions.
It depends whether they want to end it or if they want to keep it going.
If they want to keep the feud going, I definitely see a new Paul Heyman guy getting involved. And if they just want to go away with the feud and all, they'll just have CM Punk win by pinfall or submission, wherever they want to go. But CM Punk needs to win this feud, and this feud needs to end now.
Well, it's an elimination match, meaning that they would have to put Paul Heyman and CM Punk in the match at the same time. They're not going to do that.
They could do that. Because
They're not going to.
They could.
Think logically.
Well, they could just have CM Punk beat up Paul Heyman and just pin him and make everybody happy. So, we've seen Paul Heyman get in the ring before at WrestleMania 29 with Shawn Michaels, too, so.
Either way, I think it will still be overshadowed by the, I think everything at this point is being overshadowed by the massive angle going through pretty much weeks and weeks of Raw and SmackDown, and is going into Night of Champions.
Yeah, I think I saw this from the beginning. I saw Randy Orton cashing in and something special happening with Randy Orton. And we've seen certainly something very special with Randy Orton. I don't think we've really seen this dominant of a corporate group in a very long time. And I think this is something fresh and new. WWE needed to have happen in order to keep WWE a fresh and new product?
7 shows in a row, they've ended it with the exact same image.
That's what I think that they need to do, because the problem was with the Nexus, they had John Cena or a whole group of people always end up being the people standing tall. So I think by doing this and have Randy Orton and the Kings of Wrestling standing tall week after week really makes you know that this is not like a fluke group like the Nexus turned out to be, and that this is the real deal.
Kings of Wrestling? I didn't know that Chris Hero was up and Claudio Castagnoli was up on the Raw roster.
Well, these are the real Kings of Wrestling, because at least these guys are getting actually some TV time.
For those that don't know, Chris Hero is Cassius Ohno in NXT, and Claudio Castagnoli is Antonio Cesaro.
Yep.
But they were a tag team known as the King of Wrestling in the Independents.
Bit of a factoid. Is Ryback factoring his way into this feud?
No.
He seems to be not wanting to be a bully.
But he's a bully.
He's also...
I don't really know where they're going to go with Ryback. I see them doing like a separate feud or something with him, but I don't think he's really going to factor into this. But I could see him factoring into it at some point when he eventually turns back into a good guy. And I think Ryback will eventually be a part of the collapse of the Kings of Wrestling, but I don't really see it happening in the distant future.
I don't know. I've checked out on anything Ryback does anymore. I simply don't care.
Okay, flipping book. How do you think Cody Rhodes and his firing will factor in?
That was an amazing match he put on, and that promo he did as he was walking out was absolutely gorgeous. This is going to set him up big time when he comes back.
I think this will be the year of Cody Rhodes. Like last year was the year of Daniel Bryan. This will be the year of Cody Rhodes.
Okay, I think he can't stay away too long, but he has to stay away a little while at least, but he has to remain relevant.
Well, yeah, he's getting married and going on a honeymoon, so he'll be gone for I'd say he probably returns at Survivor Series.
That's a fair while away.
I hope he doesn't pull a CM Punk and come back the week later. So, I don't really know where they're going to go with Cody Rhodes, but I definitely see him a big, big picture in the WWE for the year to come.
I think he still has that contract he pulled out of that briefcase. That could factor in.
Yeah, of course it can factor in. Another one is The Big Show.
I've enjoyed stuff that he did on Raw. The fact that it was so over the top just made me laugh.
Probably use the old onion juice in the eyes.
Actually, he seems to be one of those people that can actually cry on cue.
I really somewhat like what they're doing with Big Show, making him the pawn in this Daniel Bryan versus the Kings of Wrestling feud. I don't really know where they're going to go with this. Maybe Big Show just gives up and joins the Kings of Wrestling. Maybe Big Show eventually just snaps on the Kings of Wrestling and just finally does what he feels is right. It could go either way.
Yeah.
I'm going to see Big Show getting fired in the next couple of weeks because he finally snaps and just absolutely lays everybody out.
Yeah, I think that would have to happen if he snaps.
Are we going to see some roster thinning over the next few months?
I think so.
If we do, I hope one person that goes is Sin Cara.
Okay.
He's actually placed a certain someone as my number one most wanted to get fired.
Personal hatred aside, the Shield, what do you think they're going... Because their titles all have to be on the line, unless they're going to do a stupid Intercontinental frickin' Championship and not put it on the line, even though it's in the poster. But they should be on the line, so who do you think would be taking them on?
probably for Rollins and Reigns, I think it has to be the primetime players. Forget the Usos. The primetime players has been the most popular good guy tag team over the last few weeks. So I think they pretty much are required to go against the Shield.
And I think Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose will be for the United States Championship.
I agree.
We definitely saw hints of that while Ambrose was distracting Ziggler in his match against Ryback on SmackDown.
Yeah,
Do we think that the Intercontinental not being on the line is stupid?
I think it will end up being on the line. I think Kofi Kingston will win it next week and end up facing somebody like Damian Sandow for the Intercontinental title, or somebody else. I don't really know who, but I think Kofi Kingston will be your new Intercontinental Champion come Night of Champions.
Is that because
boring,
But-
boring.
He'll probably just be a transitional champion. I don't really see him holding it for long, but I do see Kofi Kingston winning it at some point next week.
Is it because he's on the poster with it?
Yes, and because he has beaten the Intercontinental Champion on SmackDown.
I just don't like the idea of Kofi with another mid-card title reign. There's got to be a limit to how far someone can be stuck in a rut.
Well, it's better than being on WWE Superstars every week, and that's where Kofi has been as of late. But with this win over Curtis Axel, Kofi Kingston has immediately put himself back up in the high rankings of WWE management.
Okay. Well, that's it for this week. It's been great talking to you two.
See ya.
So, just a recap of what's happened in New Zealand wrestling. Former IPW champion Travis Banks teamed with Aaron Solo and Darren Dean in a Ring of Honor dark match against Ring of Honor trainee Cheeseburger and two local competitors. TK Cooper and Pat Shisk have both travelled over to Adelaide's Snake Pit Wrestling. Tomorrow, TK and Pat will team with Jonah Rock to take on the team of Damian Slater, Robbie Hart, and Kiwi Bullet Link. TK Cooper's currently 2-0 well over there. Let's see if he can make it 3-0. Coming up is IPW's Sacrifice or Surrender, 21st of September, Linfield Rec Centre. So far the only matches announced, Kingy and James Shaw taking on Tycade and Vinnie Dunn, and the IPW Tag Team Championship match where TNT will take on Aaron Henry and Jacob Cross. But by the time this show probably airs, I have a feeling they'll announce their full card, and I'll talk about that on next week's show. A rundown of what happened at NZWPW's Powerplay X. The Tag Team Championships were on the line when the 2020 Experience managed to defeat the Circus of Tragedy, and as per the stipulation, Dreamcatcher Phil Woodgate would leave the Circus of Tragedy. 2 out of 3 falls match for the submission match. Rough Guts managed to defeat James Shaw after using an extension cord that he wrapped around Shaw's neck, choking him unconscious. Bit brutal there, but Nick Silver had his Powerplay X Open Challenge. Turned out to be a Battle Royal, and Thor eliminated Mr. Silver to win that. 8-man tag team match. Team Dreamcatcher took on Team De Hoya. JC Starr ended up turning on his teammates and taking out De Hoya with a super kick to hand Team Dreamcatcher the win. Mikey defeated Taylor Adams. There was also a women's battle royal where Amy St. Clair managed to eliminate Misty to win. And the main event of the night, the NZWPW Championship match, last man standing lumberjack match. Ben Mana finally managed to defeat Johnny Idol and get the title. And just a big thanks to our listeners from America, China, New Zealand, India, Canada, Taiwan, Japan, Germany, Korea, the United Arab Emirates, Singapore, Egypt, Indonesia, France, and the United Kingdom. So that's it for this week on Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. Visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling R Radio. And I'll see you next week.